Hello, awesome artists. Today we are making a very cool, special, fancy Native American inspired corn. So this is not just any corn. This is a really nice corn that you might hang up in your house to decorate for the fall time. And we know how important corn was and is to Native people. So this is kind of a double project, celebrating fall, celebrating Native peoples. So we've got this really cool warm toned multicolor pattern happening here. I'm going to show you how to get to this spot. So I've got this long piece of paper on top of a messy mat. And on this piece of paper, I'm going to write my name with a pencil, nice and big on the back. All right. Flip it over. I need to draw a big oval, and it's going to take up most of my paper. I don't want it to come all the way to the edges though. So I'm just going to sketch it out really lightly with my pencil. There we go. That's pretty good. So now I'm going to draw some lines down the middle. I'm going to draw one down the middle exactly, and then I'm going to draw a couple more splitting up the sides. And it's okay if these aren't like perfect lines. You're just trying to make a grid. So I've got the grid happening, and now I'm going to draw some lines across. And this is just to help mark out where I'm going to draw these ovals inside. Because we know that right now this doesn't look like an ear of corn, but this does. And we want to make those oval shapes inside of this pattern, right? So now I'm going to take my oil pastels, and you can decide if you want to use multicolor like me, or maybe you want to use just black for the outline. That's fine too if you want to just use a black oil pastel. I'm going to grab these multicolored ones, and I'm going to start filling in this space. So I'm going to make an oval shape that fits inside of this grid. And maybe if I'm noticing, oh, that one's really big, I can fit two in there. That's okay. They can be multi-sized. I'm switching my colors around as I go. I do want them to be pretty close together though. So I'm gonna fill up my whole space with all of these colors. I don't have any specific pattern. You could make a pattern. Maybe you'd want to go red, orange, yellow, red, orange, yellow. You could also add some browns in here. We'll take a look at some corns too so you can see, you know, how they look in all the colors. All right, so you're gonna take your time and fill up that whole space. Once you've got your whole ear of corn, come here you, there we go, all filled up, you can take an oil pastel and make sort of a bumpy line going around the edge. So I'm gonna follow the curve of all these ovals I've made, right, going all the way down and around. So I'm gonna do that all the way around. I've got that already. And now I'm going to use my paint tray, and I'm gonna fill in these corns. Now, take a second and think, which paintbrush do you think would be best for this job? Look at the size of what I'm painting. I'm filling in all these ovals. Which one? I'm gonna go with this green one. Is it gonna take a little longer? Yeah, probably. But I think this is gonna be my best work. So I'm going to move my camera so you can see. There we go. I've got my paint and my water tray, and I'm gonna use my warm colors and fill in all of these spaces. And I can make them match the outline, or like right now I'm putting red paint inside of the yellow, right? The yellow line, it doesn't really matter. I just want to stick with those warm colors. Remember, the more water you use, the lighter the color will be. So if I swirl around in my paint a lot, the color is going to be darker. If I dip back into that water, the color is going to be lighter. So you can kind of mix it up, use some really light tones and some really dark tones, but we're going to fill in all of these spaces. Something I don't want to see is you just scribbling right over this and not taking your time. So definitely fill in the circles. See, it's not taking me too long. I'm going through them pretty quickly. All right, so we're gonna paint all of these circles. All right, I'm just filling in the last circles here. Checking if I missed any white spots. Maybe I can fill in lightly around the edges if I want to. If I fill in too much around the edges, it might make it look muddy, and then I won't be able to see all my like specific corn kernels. And I want to see all my corn kernels. I worked hard to draw all of those, so it's gonna take me a second. All right, now that I've got my ear of corn all beautifully painted, this is gonna go on the drying rack. After I take it off the drying rack and it's all nice and dry, I'm going to add my corn husks. So these are actually just pieces of brown paper that I've ripped and crumpled to make a cool texture. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to cut out around my ear of corn, but not at the top here. So I'm gonna leave like a gap of paper connected. So I have something to glue the husks onto, right? All right, let me go get my scissors. All right, so now you can see I've got my ear of corn all cut out. I carefully went around all the bumps, and then I've got this little piece at the end. I'm gonna take my cup, or my bin of glue cups, pull one of them out. I only need one. There's a bunch in there for my table. And I'm gonna grab a glue brush. A glue brush is just a junky paintbrush that we're not really using for paint. And then I'm gonna spread some glue on this spot here. And I'm gonna actually layer these pieces pretty well. So when you get your piece of brown paper, it's gonna probably look like this. And you're gonna either cut or tear some strips. I really like tearing. I think it makes a cool texture. And I like that they're not even. So I'm gonna then crumple that up. There we go. So now I can kind of twist it. Kind of looks like a corn husk. And I'm gonna glue it down here. And I'm gonna count to at least 10. Make sure it's on really well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I've got that on there. I'm gonna add another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I've taken up all that paper, but I only have 2 little husks on there. I'm gonna tear another one. I'm gonna add some more glue on top and layer them. Like that. This one I didn't crumple, that's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, make sure I didn't glue it to my messy mat. No, I did a good job. All right, so I can do the wiggle test to make sure nothing falls off. I probably would add a couple more here just so it looks a little more textured and interesting, and I'm covering up that white paper. But I've got my whole ear of corn done, and then I've got the husks at the top. Double check that my name is still on the back. Yes, it is. And then I can put this on the drying rack for the glue to dry.